Hello, how are we doing today on this fine Saturday if you join me on the day the video goes up, or otherwise the fine any other day of the week, because every day is fine when you got some StarCraft 2 on hand. I'm Wardy, and today we're going to be casting another series from the WESG Grand Finals that happened in March of 2019, of course. I was at this event casting it live, but this is one of the series I did not cast, and we're going back to this just because I kind of ran out of other series to cast, so I thought, you know what, pick this up. So again, at the time of this video going out, this is about a month old, so maybe worth keeping that in mind. I think the major change since then is that current day Nidus Network has a little bit less armor. Other than that, no other changes to really affect this matchup. So hello everyone, Wardy here, and so glad you could join me for SpeCial, the blue Terran player on the bottom left hand side, going up against the red Zerg at the top right hand side, Scarlett, in a best of 5 round of 16 matchup. Now, as always, I'm just going to take 30 seconds or so to say thank you so much for continuing to support the YouTube channel and check out the videos. And of course, as with all of our videos, if you do enjoy it, please hit that like button. It goes absolutely to the moon and back with how much it helps get these videos seen by new people, help the channel grow, and stuff like that. And the more we grow the channel, the more content I put out for you guys, the better the content can be, the more stuff we can do just for YouTube. All that sort of exciting stuff. So if you like it, like it. If you got something to say about it, comment it. And if you want to see more, subscribe to it. I will actually just say very quickly at the start of this, is just not much is happening. A little bit of a cool announcement. We just announced the WardiTV European League today. And that's going to be a competition that takes place over a couple of months with league play every Wednesday and Thursday. And we have, because of the success of the YouTube channel lately, we are now officially announcing that one series a week will actually only be broadcast on YouTube. So if people want to, or if you want to keep up to date with that tournament in its entirety, you will actually have to come to the YouTube channel, and you guys on YouTube will get that exclusiveness. So you guys can check that out as well. It's just going to be one of our YouTube exclusives, but it should be awesome having it be part of an on-running tournament. And then you guys could go check out the other matches and stuff and all of that exciting stuff. So let me know what you think about that as well. Hopefully that's something you guys like. Of course, we'll still put the best matches up here on the YouTube channel as well. This Reaper is moving around a little bit from SpeCial, seeing what's going on. There's a couple of queens starting up from Scarlett. Early game TVZ has been a Reaper expansion versus the free hatch. Pretty standard opening. Hatch gas pool into the fast third hatchery just in the last few moments. Nothing really too crazy to shout about here for the ZvT. New Repugnancy has a map pretty regular as well. Really open itself up to bio or mech play, depending on how SpeCial wants to play this. As again, just to kind of put you into perspective of what this match meant, round of 16 of WSG didn't pay out any prize money. Only round of 8 did. So this is actually like a $5,000 best of 5. And I actually think it's really interesting, Scarlett and SpeCial, because I feel like these are two players who I feel should have a lot of history. You know, I think about Scarlett and SpeCial, I'm like, well, you know, Scarlett is, you know, lives in Korea a lot of the time, so does SpeCial, and, you know, surely these guys sort of kind of match up against each other a lot, right? No, they really don't, actually. I was really surprised by this. They only played each other one time in 2018, and Scarlett played her off race. Now, in 2017, they did meet a lot of online tournaments, especially within the Korean house and stuff like that. But they actually very rarely seem to meet in bigger offline events, which is just so interesting to me, because I always feel like SpeCial and Scarlett are playing in a lot of the same events, and they play in, I guess they play in different WCS regions, and that's kind of the big thing, right? Because SpeCial plays in the Latin American region, whereas obviously Scarlett plays in WCS NA, North America. So it's a little bit of an interesting little something there, as you do see those lings, by the way, running through. Hellions actually getting some really good connections so far. Only the Reaper going down. Seconds of Scarlett wanting to try and jump on this and shut this down. I mean, the Hellions are not going to get too many drones, at least. We're going to get a couple of shots off on drones now. I mean, one kill, not really that amazing, but was a lot of Zerglings at the same time, right? So resources loss is going to be fairly similar. But I mean, that is 4 Hellions down, and that is the map control of SpeCial lost for a little bit here, as a few more Hellions continue to come on up at the moment. But yeah, just to quickly finish my forwards, it is interesting because I do really see SpeCial and Scar as these two kind of top foreign players, and to not see them play that much really surprises me. So what a treat it is to get them playing here at WSG. There's the layer on the Rotron dropping down from Scarlett. See what she wants to do with this. SpeCial already going in towards a Banshee. I mean, Banshee's obviously very popular in the TVZ matchup. Gives you a very good setup to be able to move around the map, be able to harass a little bit. Keeps you very safe from certain attacks as well. Even if there is an Overseer coming in with like a Roach Queen Nidus or so, the Banshee can kind of usually, with good control, hang back, hide away, and still find itself some openings to deal a lot of damage out to Roaches and Queens during those fights. So that's going to be quite cool to see for SpeCial if there is some sort of Nidus play here, but this layer doesn't really suggest Nidus. +1 Carapace doesn't really suggest Nidus either. So it's not going to be any kind of all-in Nidus network if there's going to be a Nidus in this series, or in this first game at least. If there is going to be a Nidus at all. And again, this was played at the peak height of Nidus networks being broken. I don't know why I started saying that out loud. So the later game Niduses are definitely a thing as well. So keep your eyes on that. Roach Speed and +1 Carapace for the moment though. And Scarlett just heading in towards a few more drones before she switches up in towards fully on full setup of Roaches, I guess. SpeCial at home has the 3rd CC, extra barracks with the stim pack upgrade means bio play for him. And that means he should have a good setup of bio with a couple of siege tanks to hold on. He shouldn't be under any threat of Roaches just coming over the map and kind of killing him off here anytime soon. Because these Queens are able to get a couple of those Hellions already. Again, only 2 drones going down. SpeCial's not having the best of times in terms of dealing economic damage with these Hellions, although it is doing fairly well with the Banshees, which come back into the main base for a quick poke and a prod. A couple more drones there, so that's 5 drones in total in the last few moments, which is, it's something. I mean, 7 drones throughout the game. It's slowing Scarlett down a little bit, and it is taking, making her take a few more moments before she's maybe ready to kind of commit into units, although units are on the way up, and centering in on this Nidus network, it is going to be a Nidus network dropping down on this 3rd base, so Nidus to be aggressive, as +1 the Carapace and Roach Speed finishes. Well, SpeCial's just moving out towards 3 bases here. Kind of depends how well he's set up, though. Like, where are these tanks positioned? He does have vision in his main, so he's going to be able to see a Nidus coming down. In fact, their Scarlett is going to throw it down right next to that supply depot here. Some Roaches are running across the map as well, though, so they might just be able to break through the front door. SpeCial going to siege him a tank. I love these couple of depots here walling off this area. Could really just do with one more, though, as the Nidus is going to be target fired. Oh, a couple of transfusers kept it alive for a while. The bio unit's kind of keeping these units in here, but not forever. And at the same time, we do have those Roaches on the low ground. They broke through that front door, and now they're coming up here. SpeCial is going to get rid of the next Nidus network that is building. I mean, a few tanks sieged up are doing okay. These SCVs need to pull away, though. This 3rd base is actually fairly safe. Oh, no, that Roach is actually going to be able to kill this tank from the high ground, aren't they? That's kind of a big deal, and another tank is going to be in trouble as the Roaches come up from the natural expansion. Scarlett comes in from a couple different sides in the end, and she is going to be able to clean up a lot. Now, she doesn't have reinforcements. The next Nidus is still on the way up, so SpeCial is on his way towards cleaning this out, but if this Nidus comes up, then there's a very good possibility that realistically even more SCVs go down, and there may just be no coming back from this for SpeCial. As Nidus goes down, a few more Roaches up, but there's only really Marines left, so there's no really quick way of getting rid of these Roaches. There's not that many Marines as well, and SpeCial runs out of SCVs, he runs out of units, he'll type GG, and we will be seeing Scarlett picking up a game number 1 in this best of 5. Use of the Nidus play, although not like an all-in 5-minute Nidus or anything along those lines, just a +1 Roach speed kind of timing, but uses the Nidus to kind of come in from a couple different directions rather than just headbutting the front door, which could have been locked down and saved by a siege tank setup. So nice little something from Scarlett, using that Nidus in a little bit of a different way. We're going to be taking a quick moment then, hop into game 2 and see how this best of 5 will continue. Game number 2 between Scarlett and SpeCial. Up 1-0 in the bottom left-hand side of the map, our red Zerg player from Newbie. This is Scarlett. I'm not actually sure if our blue Terran player has a team currently. I feel like he just got dropped by a Latin American team recently. I don't think I've seen an announcement for another one. There's a SpeCial on the top right-hand side as we get this set up and ready to rumble. A second game now on Automaton. Automaton has a lot more kind of width to the map. New Repugnancy is kind of like a... New Repugnancy in terms of shape is like a rectangle, right? It's got that kind of length to it, whereas Automaton definitely has this more kind of box square shape, where you can really have a lot of space to work with. The middle of the map here on Automaton's a lot more open as well, so when it comes to those later game fights, if we get to later game fights, there's a lot more opportunity to kind of come in as the Zerg and surround and so on. It's actually kind of interesting because New Repugnancy lets itself be very good for both races despite its chokiness, and it's kind of plays. It kind of, I don't know how to say it really, but the map's kind of a bit funky, but it definitely works out. Whereas Automaton's your bit more kind of bread and butter of macro layouts when it comes to the middle. It's like, you know, there's a little bit of interest here, a couple of ramps, but there is definitely space to just take big fights between the players. The layout of bases on Automaton is a bit more interesting, perhaps. Natural expansion tucked away right in the top corner. Hatchery tucked away in the bottom left corner. And the third base is kind of tucked quite far back as well, but you do, as the Terran player, oftentimes have that option of moving forwards towards this base already, and playing an aggressive forward position and pushing forwards from there. And then the gold base as well becomes accessible. You take down those rocks and you get extra mineral income, which can be very good for a Terran who is not playing mech and is perhaps playing bio. And that's why, despite the large size of this map, a lot of the time you will see players playing bio on this map rather than going towards mech, which traditionally is very good on a map where you can take 4 bases so very easily, like you can here on Automaton. I mean, not that the minerals aren't bad for mech, but you also really kind of want the gas, especially if the game goes long, and so you may as well hold the gold base as an actual command center in the proper location in that regard, rather than any other way. As the Reaper shows up here from SpeCial, will not get a drone just yet, the drone becoming an extractor for the next few moments, and the other drone doing the same. The Zergling's out, the Queen here too. Good defense by Scarlett, obviously. Nice from SpeCial to delay a little bit of mining. There's a few extra seconds. Just little bits and pieces, taking what you can get here. As that Queen again continuing to poke away at the Reaper. Dealing quite a lot of damage. The Zerglings from the side coming in. The Reaper will go down. So Reaper falls at the starport. Getting set up in the main base. Factory going to drop down on the reactor. Barracks going to come in as well. Dropping down right here in a tech lab on the way up. As we do have the game then set to continue with a pretty standard setup once more. I mean, those Hellions on the way out. Starport has a good chance of going to that tech lab. I wouldn't mind SpeCial going for the Cloak Banshees again. I don't necessarily think the problem in the last game was his build as much as maybe lack of information, and while he was in a decent position, it went wrong very quickly. The tank that was in range of 3 roaches on the low ground that went down. He let the roaches run into the main base when he could have lifted a depot. Little things like that really do go a long way in those defenses. So I didn't mind his build in the last game. This is going to be different though. He's going to bypass Cloak Banshee and go for a much faster stim pack. Now that can be a lot better against these Nidus attacks sometimes because you'd have stim a little bit sooner. It kind of depends on when units kick in and what kind of Nidus it is. And this is a Rotron and a Lair already on the way up from Scarlett here earlier than the last game. Because if stim is done, obviously it takes a while to build, but if there's like a 5-minute Nidus, the stim isn't done, and, you know, your Marines aren't really that strong at this point, they don't really do much. But if it hits at the same time as before, well, you have that stim ready, your bio is that much more effective from the start, and maybe that makes the difference in terms of cleaning up and being able to manage what the, you know, the aggression that the Zerg is throwing at you. As we do see the Viking here is able to pick up an Overlord. 5 more Overlords on the way out, as the Lair will finish up on the natural as well. So we'll see what Scarlett does with this. As an armory actually on the way is fairly interesting with this stim pack coming through already. Is going to be investing towards a couple of Hellbat drops here. So the 7 Hellions on the map, so potential for Hellions to run by the third base while Hellions go into the main. There is that Nidus network from Scarlett. It's just going to come in like just before this barracks and stim pack, and bio units are really super effective. So it is going to hit at kind of a nice timing here. And the fact that SpeCial is still building Hellions is a bit worrying as well, because obviously Hellions don't do very well when it comes to trying to deal damage to roaches. Queen's very quick to come into the main base here and actually dealing a lot of damage to the first Hellbats. The next Hellions run into the third base. We'll check that out in a moment, but there's nothing on that third base to actually be killed by those Hellions. So as they arrive, they're going to be like, oh, no saturation. And SpeCial's going to start realizing instantly, I mean, a Marine checking out a bunker in the main. He realizes what's going on here. He doesn't need to see the Lair. He doesn't need to see the Rotron. The lack of drones on the third base at this stage of the game says absolutely everything you need to know about what's going on here. Now, what I do find interesting is he drops down the third CC, and I wonder if it's one of those things where you do kind of want the third CC, and it's kind of weird because extra barracks aren't exactly going to help you anymore because, well, by the time those barracks build, you're just not going to get anything out of them, right? You know, they're not going to actually help you defend this. So the idea is from SpeCial, the third CC helps him rebuild some of his potential losses here. That's a good shutdown on the first Nidus in the main. So I kind of like it. It seems weird to put a third CC down, but it does kind of make sense based on how this game's going to go. Now he gets the barracks up, and you could argue maybe now, okay, well, you know, now he is going to have, you know, now he maybe would have had extra use out of the barracks. Oh, depot not raised. Roaches just run through into the natural expansion. Suddenly the siege tank here is in some trouble. Okay, raises this next here, but it's not going to last that long. And well, the Nidus does come up in the main. Queens are going to start pouring out. The Nidus will be kept alive. Another Nidus setting up on the low ground. The bunker down here. Man, this is kind of like the last game where the initial positioning and setup from SpeCial is kind of good, but all of a sudden he makes these mistakes, letting those roaches come in for free. The tank wasn't sieged because those roaches weren't meant to be here already. And now this starts falling apart. His natural expansion under fire. A lot of SCVs going down. And a couple of Liberators will come over, sieging up on those roaches. A few of them going to jump into that Nidus, though. Now going to be jumping out of the main as these SCVs going to come in, surrounding a bunch more roaches. Tank will siege up. As that tank sieges up, a few more roaches continue to go down. Hellbats will be pressing forwards just a little bit, but 33, 34 SCVs already lost. SpeCial is in some trouble. He'll clean up the Nidus in the main, but I mean, he's got to clean up on the low ground. There's still roaches in the main base as well. I mean, SpeCial is essentially fighting on one base at the moment. That third CC that was meant to help him be, recover from any sort of damage he might take, well, that's dead as well. Cancelled long ago. And Scarlett is just running up behind this. I mean, this Knight is not going to pop anything out of it. No reason to. Just build drones, macro up. I mean, you've already got SpeCial down on one base at this point. You've got creep tumors down here as well, so he's going to have to scan, even though one of his bases is lifted up into the skies. The last thing SpeCial wants to be doing is spending energy cleaning up creep in a game where he doesn't have more than, doesn't have a natural expansion mining. There's the scan dropping, creep goes down. SpeCial will be able to take that expansion, but Scarlett's done everything she needs to set herself up for an amazing follow-up here, basically, in the next few moments. 64 drones against 17 SCVs. I mean, now she just continues to build roaches and ends the game. Apparently not. She throws down a Spire and will go Mutalisks, but I feel like she could just make Roach Ravager and end it. I guess if SpeCial sits back, it's a very defensive position, so maybe the Mutas are a nice idea. I think she's far enough ahead to kind of do what she wants anyways, so no real complaints, no real criticism, really. It's they're both very valid ways to end games. I think when you're as behind as SpeCial is, Mutas are an extremely difficult thing to deal with. As long as Scarlett has units ready for this attack, because SpeCial countering across has a 16 army supply lead. Scarlett is supply blocked and losing an Overlord, making 8 Overlords at the moment. So this is a little bit scary here. Liberators are going to start setting up. Obviously these Marines, though, they don't have Simpack even. That got cancelled in amongst all of that aggression. So SpeCial really doesn't have much to play with at the moment. I mean, it's actually a good thing Scarlett made that many crazy number of Overlords, because otherwise she would have been supply blocked already. It's actually a bit ridiculous, as we're going to be seeing. Well, Scarlett's supplies just skyrocketed up in the last few moments. The thing is, these Liberators aren't really doing much damage because Scarlett just fights outside of the Liberators, and by the time SpeCial pushes forwards with everything, Scarlett's just got all of her reinforcements out. She's been able to build up the units that she needs to hold this off, and SpeCial just does not have the numbers to continue fighting through this now. A few Queens transfusing each other up on the right-hand side. You're going to be seeing those Marines picking away at a couple of creep tumors, and I mean, that's all they're going to get, though, really. The Roach is coming through. There's Ravager, Bow's ready. Scarlett even comes in from the top side. She said Nidus up here to actually come in for a flank, which is a pretty cute move. So gets the Nidus to the top, and that's GG. Scarlett taking the game number 2 and going up 2-0 in this best of 5. Currently on her way to clean sweeping this series. SpeCial going to have to pull something out. Pull up some defense if he wants to get back in this, because let's face it, I feel both games he's been in an alright spot, and then he just sort of threw it, I don't even want to say throw it away, but he's made mistakes which has allowed Scarlett's aggression to be way more successful than it really should have been with how well he was set up to defend. So game number 3 on the way in a moment, guys. SpeCial, Scarlett continues. Let's go in. Welcome back, as we have to the bottom right hand side, our blue Terran player. Give it up if you're cheering on SpeCial. When I say give it up, I expect you all to go into the YouTube comments right now and go SpeCial, SpeCial. If I don't see at least 3 comments like that, I'm going to be disappointed, guys. I'm not going to lie. Top left-hand side, our red Zerg. A deadly color for what has been some deadly plays so far. This is Scarlett. Port Aleksander for a 3rd map of the series. Both games so far, SpeCial choosing to play into that bio style and never really getting to show us what it's all about, because he really does just get shut down then and there. It's like, okay, I want to try and do this, and it's like, nope. Hashtag denied. Nidus Network is not your friend today and will not let you build more than 2 bases. So Special's really been kind of held back by the Nidus aggression so far, has not really found any success against it, although I do feel he's doing the right things to set himself up against it. He's then just not executing, positioning, and doing those other little bits and pieces which really do bring it together to then hold on and to go into actually a very strong position because he can hold on very well. So, I mean, some can argue about strength of Nidus at the, during this patch or whatever, but I think the reality is, in these games, Special's just made some mistakes. And don't get me wrong, with our current Nidus, again, this is played on a slightly different patch. These games just about a month old. The current Nidus, maybe Special would have had a little bit of a better time. The Nidus goes down a lot faster when it's building, etc. Probably does go very differently. But you've also got to remember that Scarlett probably approaches her games and how she engages those fights very differently as well, where she places the Nidus too. So it's not just a given that Special would like kill it off and it will be okay. Anyways, enough about the Nidus. Let's hope we don't get one here for a third game. Hopefully we can get something with a little bit more longevity in it, as we do see that Reaper popping out. Coming up the right-hand side, a couple of Queens and 4 Zerglings on the way down. So building up into this here as Reaper hops back up to the high ground, and an Overlord coming in as well. And this ready to go. As the Reaper on its way off to the top left-hand side. The scouting continues here from Special. Reactor dropping down from Special as well, so getting himself set up into this factory, going to complete very soon. Special will hop up in towards the natural expansion. And we do just see a Queen able to poke away at that Reaper a little bit. So a little bit of damage being done. Zergling speed on the way up. Queen does get bopped over to the side just a little right there, as we see this third hatchery coming up, about halfway done as well. So third hatch is continuing along as the orbital command also just halfway done now. Yeah, all of this just setting up, getting going. Nothing too crazy so far. Starport from Special will drop down as well here. That's going to be finishing in a few moments as well. And again, still just early game. Not really much to say. I feel like I've really just been listing things off, so apologies, guys. Let's talk about something a bit more interesting, shall we? So for breakfast today, okay. In seriousness, though, sometimes these YouTube casts, I really get into it as well. It's really cool. I know this is not really relevant to the game at all, just to go on a slight tangent, but it's really cool to kind of just lose myself in it without having to look at Twitch chat and to worry about what's going on over there and to read people balance whining. I do that after I've casted, right? Like, I read the YouTube comments and everyone's like, well, you see here, Protoss won the game. And to me, that says imbalance all over. So I get all that fun later, but it is really nice to be able to just cast and not have to deal with it. Because even if I don't have much to say, like right now, a pretty passive game, pretty, a standard setup. We've already talked a bit about the players and so on, and the styles and what's happened in previous games. And, this is kind of the point where on a stream I'd go to the Twitch chat and be like, what are they saying? But I think overall it does kind of decrease the quality of the game, because sometimes I think silence is better than getting distracted and deterred and getting completely kind of brought away from things, so. It is also, sometimes there's time to kind of show my personality and convince people they can support me and that it's worth giving me money to make these tournaments and make a living. Anyways, enough of that. Let's get into this, because action is starting to happen. Liberator popped up and did get a single kill as the Hellions perusing around, looking to see what they can do. They're going to try and poke forwards. A few more Queens coming forwards. A lair on the way up in the main base. 2 more Evo Chambers coming down as well. As you do see a siege chunk here from Special. Setting up behind this wall off. Another refinery finishing too. I was just about to say, this is looking to be a bit more of a mech-based build order than it is to be bio, just because of those gas timings. And the double armory is obviously a pretty good confirmation of that. Interestingly enough, we'll be building quite a few Marines here. I think the idea from Special just being like, Marines, we see this actually a fair amount with mech nowadays, where people just say, well, you know what, these Marines, they do very well if I can get a few of them out. They actually serve quite a nice purpose in terms of keeping me safe, because they do put out quite a good amount of damage, even if they're unupgraded. And obviously they're not meant to keep you safe late game, but they do keep you safe through these early stages where mech might have a bit of a weakness. Say if a bit of a roach attack comes over, having 10 Marines firing on those roaches is going to do a lot better than 5 Hellions in terms of cost. So, yeah, it's quite nice. You can also build up a bunker or two to add that little bit of defense as well, soak some damage up. Or if you're special, you can actually push across the map with these units and use them to attack too. So, the point is, there's a lot of different opportunities and options for just how you use those Marines, and it's like just a different way to open with. As now we see the factory back on a reactor, more Hellions on the way, a tech lab building as well, or a factory building on the tech lab I should say. Starport's getting its own reactor for some Viking production, get some of that air control going, and we'll see, get that set up nice and early. These Hellions going to try and block in those Queens at the same time. Liberator sieges up for a couple of kills over here, and a couple of kills in the main base as well. That's 9 workers killed, as Special now just going back away. And I love it. He did this very well. He just poked forwards with the army. It takes Scarlett's attention. She's like, okay, let's go look over here. And the next thing you know, there's actually the 2 Liberators, and they are the real threat. They're the things that are actually going to deal damage. And that's obviously one of the, it's one of the great things you can do in StarCraft. You can divert your opponent's attention and their focus away. And, focus is a resource. As you're going to see, the Lings and Banes here will end up getting a surround. Actually, a very good surround. Crashing through, Scarlett will clean up this army. That's a lot lost, but it's also a lot of Ling Bane lost, because Ling Bane is not exactly meant to deal with this kind of mech-based army either. Scarlett, by the way, is still playing Ling Bane Muta. I wonder if she just doesn't quite know it's mech just yet. She saw there's gas, which sort of says that maybe she should, but at the same time, it's very possible that she saw the Marines and was just like, okay, yeah, Hellions, Marines, tanks, let's see how this is going. We'll see what upgrade she starts next. If she goes +2 melee attack, that is a real indicator, although maybe these Hellions have already indicated to her that it's going to be mech rather than bio, so she might start to pick up on it and go missiles instead. I feel like +2 melee really says that she's not planning on going up against mech here. Unless she really does know, and she's just like, yeah, I'm actually already kind of very committed to this style, and I'm just going to try and do something funky. I mean, there's a fast infestation pit dropping down. I mean, typically if you rush out an infestation pit and a hive, you get Vipers and maybe think about Broodlords, which she already has the Spire for, right? So maybe that's just the way she can go with this, although I'm not sure what's going to protect those Broodlords, because Ling Bane definitely isn't going to make the cut against all of these Hellions. 2 4s in the main base coming in very easily, deflecting those Mutas as we're watching the Queens deflecting a few of those Hellions, stopping those from getting too much progress made in the middle of the map. +1 flyer attack just over halfway done. All of these Mutalisks back over to the left. And this barracks just hanging out up to the top. Couple of siege tanks sieging up as well. And the missile turret dropping in. Hellions and 4s poking forwards. And we are going to be seeing them trying to get a bit of a surround. He actually is going to be able to cut those couple of Queens in half. He's done this a couple of times now, putting those Hellions in the pathway to kind of block the Queens from going directly home. And that's just given Special a couple of opportunities to deal some damage. This is a big Ling counterattack. There's only a couple of Hellions nearby to clean it up. The rest of them having to come back home. So already 1 siege tank going down. A couple of Lings peel away into the natural and the 3rd base. This is really nice. And that was not a completed wall-up. So Special is going to have that Lings in his natural expansion. Well, Scarlett's going to end up losing a lot of these, if not all of them, of course. But still, 7 SCV is down. Special pulled all the way back home, focusing at home rather than out on the map. This is now 12 workers killed, so this did become pretty serious as 4s and Liberators still chasing those Mutalisks down. Now 7 Dropper Lords setting up from Scarlett, so she's going to get these set up and bring those down to the bottom side of the map here. 2 more 4s building up from Special, getting those up and running, as we do see a few Banelians are coming rolling around as well. A couple of Hellions walking past. The Mutalisks are going to start coming across. They are going to initially here jump on top of this barracks, so dealing some damage as the Mutas turned away once again. And an Ultralisk Cavern coming down. Well, out of everything I expected to see in this game, an Ultralisk Cavern was not really it. I thought maybe again Vipers, maybe you go Greater Spire, but an Ultralisk Cavern. It's a very different way of sort of dealing with a mech army, especially because she's still making Lings and Banes. Really focusing on these melee-based units as she goes for +3 melee and Adrenal Glands. I'm just not sure how well this army from Scarlett can really continue to trade. But of course, if she plays it correctly and kind of counterattacks and runs around the army of Special, perhaps she can just pick Special apart to the point where even though her army isn't as great against the mech army, it can still win out just through sheer force of numbers. As we do see those Zerglings begin to drop into the main, so let's see what Scarlett does with this attack. Special doesn't really have much in position of 4. Kind of sat back. Not all of these Lings have dropped off just yet. Meanwhile, we're seeing some Mutas and Lings still trying to make action happen elsewhere. Hellions coming into the main, and oh my god, I mean, the first Zerglings just kind of line themselves up. And that's going to be a lot of kills already. Don't feel like much is going to be done here at all. Meanwhile, the 4s drop back down over here. Planetary Fortress and 4 combo. Turns out to be pretty good against Mutalisks and Zerglings. Who would have thought it? As the Hellions getting rid of and lasering down. Just a few more Zerglings there. And oh my god, the Liberator is even going to find some Overlords. This is really nice. Getting some Overlord kills. I mean, there's not really... I guess you can bring the Mutas over to deal with this, but those Mutas are kind of hurting as well. And the Liberators, well, not, you know, can kind of stand up for themselves a little bit at least. Zerglings running over to the left-hand side. 5 Ultralisks building up here. As Liberators come through in the sky. Hellions and tanks coming forwards into the center of 4 as well. Pushing all the way through the middle. A couple quick teamers being picked off as SpeCial. They're going to try and force the issue now. Does have an army supply lead. I mean, Scarlett's thrown away so much army running forwards time and time again. Here he goes. SpeCial does siege up. In a way, I almost would have liked those tanks to just stay unsieged against these Ultras, because I feel like right here, they haven't really done much, although in the end of the day, the 4s are going to pick their way through those Ultras no problem at all. So those Ultras will continue dropping down. Now some Banelan's going to show up, and they actually do roll through and get a little bit of splash down, and 4's still just standing here fighting. A couple of Liberators putting out some damage as well. Another Ultra going down. This was really expensive for Scarlett. She has lost a lot right now. While she is on 5 bases, it's only, I mean, I say only 74 drones, but it's not like the 80 to 90 drones you sometimes see from a Zerg, so they can just trade and trade and trade. +3 melee going to be finishing up on the natural here in a moment or two. A couple more Corruptors, more Banelings on the way out, a couple more 4s as well. +3 vehicle plane, +3 vehicle weapons coming out as well now. As we are going to be seeing Scarlett still running on up to this top side of the map. Hellions from SpeCial start backing away. SpeCial going to be able to, well, just keep running around. We see the creep tumors moving around as well. Liberator comes off over to the left-hand side. There's the Great Aspire now dropping in, so Scarlett's finally getting towards those Broodlords, which I think is again something that she maybe wanted to head in towards a bit sooner, although I wouldn't necessarily say it's too late. She has held on, she's survived. I just wonder how much better the Brood would have been right away. But then maybe she wouldn't have held on if she could have done that, because she would have only been on Zerglings and Banes, and maybe she just would have died to an army. She's just trying to build up Corruptors. So there's other things to keep in mind here with how Scarlett's played this out. Very interesting style, though. Definitely not your kind of typical mech versus Zerg play style or gameplay here. The Ultras coming in, these Hellions taking a few more swipes. The Zerglings getting a pretty decent surround, and those Hellions will go down. A couple Banes connected on those Hellions as well. A few drones picked off here also as these Overlords going to get pushed away. Spore Crawler going to reposition. And then just going to be seeing this command center dropping down, morphing into a planetary fortress. Just coming up to the top side of the map. Corruptors coming through as well, getting this all started now as we will see Scarlet Zerglings running around over the right hand side. Queen going to throw down a creep tumor in the center. Again, still more Corruptors, +2 Carapace coming in. Planetary Fortress will drop dead center here from SpeCial, and that's one of the things that Scarlett's got an issue with, right? That she's not being able to stop SpeCial from expanding. And so SpeCial now has Planetary Fortresses around the map, and I don't see how those... I mean, sure, if you like throw a few Ultras at a planetary, it's going to go down. But it's going to take a good chunk of our army to do any damage to these and to really shut it down. So, as far as SpeCial's concerned, I think for the next few moments, he's kind of just mining away very happily as Liberators continue to pick their way through drones. And Scarlett is continuing to rebuild those drones at a rapid pace. We'll go over 90 workers right now. And there's SpeCial pushing forwards into the center of the map. Infester. I'll throw down a fungal growth on a couple of 4s. I mean, stop them microing a little bit. May let the Ultras go on top, but it doesn't quite work out in the end. The Broodlords are here now, which will buy Scarlett some time. It gives her the chance to max out once again, and maybe now she can try and find some of these fights where she can get herself back into the game, because, well, SpeCial has to back away and at least build Vikings here. Otherwise, he's not really going to have a way to deal with Broodlords at all. So Vikings on the way up. A Fusion Core as well. I wonder if super late on here, Special just says, you know what, I kind of want to go in towards battle cruisers. Like, it sounds ridiculous, but sometimes it actually is. If you have enough money, and he does have enough bases very easily as well, he might just be able to go into battle cruisers. And enough battle cruisers actually do become almost unkillable for Zerg, as we can be seeing. Those two ultras get blown up instantly. The tank siege is deadly. Meanwhile, Hellions are Liberator up on this top side. I mean, I don't know what this Infestor thinks it's doing. It's not a drone, doesn't need to be in the mineral line. This Liberator is just having the time of its life, man. 9, 10 kills. Look at it go. There's another Liberator off to the other side as well. It's just crazy. It's off on the main base. There he goes. Suddenly, Scarlett just loses 26 workers. 27. Still on 70. She's still running through this as well, knowing that she has to be able to keep up her economy. But, I mean, now it just means she has less and less and less units every single time Special pushes forwards. Special takes down this forward base as the Vikings do come through. A Broodlord picked off already. Corruptor's able to get some damage off here. Vikings chased away. Those fours turning around, able to get some damage off on towards the Corruptors as well. Still Vikings, Hellions attack from Special, gathering up on the bottom side of the map. A few drones going down as these Hellions able to get even more damage dealt. That's now 12 more workers killed. And these Hellions going absolutely crazy recently. Some drones lifted into Overlords to try and keep them alive, which is a nice little trick, but obviously they didn't get in there fast enough if 12 still went down and the Hellions got out alive. It's still good damage. And at this point in the game, Special seems to just be running circles around Scarlett with these Hellions. And obviously at some point of this, you're just kind of expecting it to get to that stage where there's just going to be that one big push from Special at some point where he just has way too much. He's going to come straight across the map, and it's not really going to be an exciting finish. It's not going to be one big epic battle. It's going to be more like a steamroll. And Special really is just that far ahead at this stage of the game. I mean, he's got money coming up. He's actually building himself in towards a advanced ballistics. He's getting himself +1 ship weapons, Magfield accelerator. So Special is getting himself set up into all of these different upgrades, etc. Getting those up and rolling. We are just going to be seeing the medevac coming through with the tanks and fours. So coming up the center of the map again, a couple of Hellbats able to get a little bit of damage out here. As the drone's starting to drop down once again. I mean, it's every time a Liberator shows up, it just seems to kill 10 workers, and you just can't take that much damage as Scarlett every single time, otherwise you're going to fall, well, you're really just going to fall apart as we do see these couple of tanks. Going to be able to get rid of an Ultras here as well. This entire army from Special continue to push towards the upper side. These two tanks going after this hatchery. Looks as though the tanks will be able to take it down. I mean, are we surprised? No, not really. Scarlett hasn't been able to keep anything alive when it comes to economy this game. She hasn't kept her drones alive. Even though she has 96 of them, how many do you reckon have been killed? I reckon at this point, like, 74. 81? I mean, it's not surprising, right? It's just been a drone massacre. Every time any unit has shown up in a mineral line of Scarlett, it feels like instantly 10 drones just like, yep, we'll die now. They just drop down dead. The unit doesn't even have to do anything. These two tanks are back. Couple of Broodlords though might actually not be able to kill off this other tank, so that hatch might go down yet again. I mean, this entire army on the bottom left side is obviously taking Scarlett's attention. The tank looks as though it is going to be dealt with by a Broodlord before it gets a kill. Obviously Scarlett just being shut down in different bases, and soon she's not going to have any money left. You can see these fours, or this four getting shot down by the Broodlords. Broodlords getting quite a bit done. Vikings, a few of these are to position, so this is a fight Scarlett can win. You've got to remember that overall here, though, Special has quite a lot of anti-air. He does have an anti-armor missile to throw down as well. Interference matrix on both of the Vipers. I do like that. One parasitic bomb did come down. A fungal growth connected too. I mean, the thing is, there's only Corruptors left over, which is kind of nice for winning the sky fight, but then there's still fours on the ground, which are going to do very well as well. I mean, again, it's one of these games where Scarlett's going to hang in there until the very, very end, but Special does seem to have the numbers. It's actually, I mean, Special seems to have had the numbers for about 10 minutes now too, so it's taken him a long time to close this one out. Vikings, tanks, and fours coming up into the center of the map. More Vikings on the way out, a couple more fours as well. On the far left side, these couple of Liberators will come up the left and siege themselves on a couple of these bases, going on one. I mean, there's not really much here on the other, but I got a couple of Zerglings. Again, where's the reaction from Scarlett? Like, what is she doing? What's she paying attention to right now? Finally pulls those drones away, 5 workers. I mean, I know it's late game and there's typically there's meant to be a lot going on, but right at that moment there was a Hellion fighting a Spine Crawler, and not really much else. And losing 5 drones at that stage is just too many. I mean, again, the game's already kind of over, and maybe at this point Scarlett's just sort of, I don't know, I mean, sometimes we say this where it's like, oh, maybe they're just kind of taking it easy and thinking about what went wrong, what to do in the next game. I actually do think if you look at this and you're in Scarlett's position, like, okay, it's not brilliant, and I think you're not winning, but I don't think you look at this and, like, you say, like, oh, it's impossible to win, because I think as far as you're concerned, a good fungal or two, and, you win the fight in the skies and the Broodlords win out, you can kind of clean up the army of your opponent, perhaps. So there is potential for mistakes from SpeCial. And I think that's what Scarlett probably is still playing pretty seriously, which is why I'm surprised that Liberator then does do so much damage once again. And so here we go. Unit's going to press on through. Corruptor's taking a lot of damage. Broodlords going to start going down as the Vikings just split away. You see the Corruptors. I mean, the Corruptors do a pretty okay job at fighting back against us. The fours on the ground go down to the Lings and the Broodlings. But I mean, this time the Corruptors actually will fall out, so there's going to be enough Vikings to kill off the last few Broodlords. And at the same time, an army of tanks comes up to the top side, denies that base once more. I mean, these Vikings are just going to land, and as they land, Scarlett is going to type GG, and SpeCial will bring a game back on this series. It's now 1-2, heading into game number 4. SpeCial seems to have found his footing. In the one game where Nidus wasn't built, he's been able to take victory. So maybe let's hope for SpeCial's sake that there's no more Niduses in these future games. I believe it's King's Cove up next for map 4. Let's jump into it. Game 4 on King's Cove. To the top left, Scarlett, the red Zerg. Up against, to the bottom right, our blue Terran SpeCial. Setting this up, getting this running, and just looking to see what's going to happen here between the two players. You have Scarlett with a drone. Going to come down to the bottom side of the map, so it looks like Scarlett wants to play some shenanigans of her own here early on in game number 4. Scarlett has always been the player who will fall back towards cheesy, silly strategies. I say silly, but strategies that don't usually often come to mind. But this proxy hatch is something that she does often against Terran and against Protoss. It's something she's known for to some extent, and well, the thing is, from SpeCial, this is why it's so dangerous to let Scarlett go up in a series, because now she's got the freedom to do some crazier things. She can definitely put herself in some spots where she is able to just kind of, again, try out things like this. And especially, you don't want to go scouting for a proxy hatch every single game to, like, find it instantly or so. No way, not at all. Because that's going to take too long, you're going to lose too much mining, etc., etc., too much time across the map. And so as Scarlett, it's really dangerous now because you can use this and it has a good chance of just straight up catching SpeCial off guard and just coming straight through to win the game, perhaps. Let's see, the Reaper is on the way up. That will head across the map. It will see the lack of an expansion. And that will be SpeCial's first indicator as to what's going on here in this game number 4. Typically, this is going to be a roach drone dropping down from Scarlett as well and building roaches on that side of the map to try and apply some pressure. As there is the roach drone as expected here. And a second extractor from Scarlett setting up as well in this upper left-hand side. Reaper from SpeCial heading up to the top left too. So moving across. Going to get this into position. Again, just doesn't know about that hatchery just yet. Again, as he sees no hatchery now, he'll have a bit of a better idea. I mean, keeping this command center up and running is not too hopeful because of the couple of Zerglings that run out. But the Reaper is on its way back. If you can finish that CC, that's obviously huge because then you're going to be able to straight up just have an extra command center already finished up. Nice deny on that first Zergling. Queen out now as well, though, and that's what makes this very difficult. Reaper poking around across the map that doesn't get any kills. Let's see if he's getting some more damage onto this. There's that one Zergling still alive. Wants to target that down with the Marine, but now the Queen's going to go for the SCV, and we're still talking about 6 seconds or so to finish this command center. It's quite a few SCVs. I mean, this is another SCV that's just going to come down here on its own. Okay, now another one coming down. Actually keeps this one alive in the back, but now roaches are here as well, and I think SpeCial is probably going to end up just having to cancel the command center, so gives up more SCVs trying to save it. That's already kind of bad for him, of course, because now, you know, it's 3 workers that he should have had mining in the main base or so. Command center, and he could have already, you know, restarted the command center in the main as well to speed up the rebuild. Scarlett already fairly happy with this, I'd imagine, as a corrosive valve dropping down on the depot. Cyclone about to pop will be able to push back this high ground overload, so high ground vision will be taken away. That's actually a huge deal here. Can also just lock onto the Ravagers, and obviously we'll push those back with pretty good consistency too. So already a couple of SCVs down, trying to repair that depot at the front. SpeCial getting supply blocked. Cyclone's going to start locking onto. Oh my god, the Cyclone goes super low. Can't really afford to lose that at all. Scarlett will get the corrosive valves to finish off another supply depot here, and this barracks is going to go down. So Scarlett, I mean, especially even if he lifts this up, I mean, Scarlett's just going to corrosive valve it and kill it. Reactor's dead as well. Scarlett's getting so much damage done at the moment with this Ravager attack. I mean, now up the ramp, going to go straight for the bunker. Corrosive valves force the SCVs to pull away. Cyclone is back, the lock on is good. One of the Ravagers goes down, the second one as well. With a siege tank now, this should become a lot easier for SpeCial to be able to hold on. The Ravagers kind of come forward. Scarlett didn't quite see that tank, so she just didn't quite know she was meant to go for that there. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure she would have corrosive valved it down right away. So just didn't quite have the vision for that. It looks as though SpeCial in the end here will hold on. But obviously, we'll also have some work to do in terms of cleaning up this creep spread, pushing this back, taking the natural once again, and just setting himself up into a follow-up here, as Scarlett obviously only just expanding back at home. But of course, at this point, Scarlett probably feels fairly safe to just drone up quite heavily for the next minute or so at least, and then maybe make a few units in terms of maybe of being afraid of a counter-attack of some sort. Barracks has to rebuild before any other production can come up, as the starport drops into the tech lab, so we are going to be seeing potentially a Banshee or so coming through. The Cyclone locks on again, pushes that roach away. Just these couple of creep tumors that are going down now will free up the creep on the natural, so at least SpeCial will regain control of the natural here. And will be able to put his expansion down. Drop those mules on the natural is nice as well. You don't really want to be dropping them on the main, otherwise your main base is going to mine out really quickly. So you can see this mule is going to drop on the main. SpeCial doesn't seem to mind that much. In general, though, a very weird game, a very weird position we're going to end up in. SpeCial drops a third CC. Going to try and keep this somewhat regular, as this hatchery to the left side still alive. SpeCial not going after that for the moment. It's going to be seeing this Ravager and a couple more roaches pulling back in towards the natural here. Raven will start up as well from SpeCial. That's about to be completed. Still just seeing what else is going on. I mean, Raven comes through, a bit of detection to allow the Cyclone to kill off the creep tumor. Orbital Command will start up an SCV. There's a couple of siege tanks on SpeCial. Well positioned to stay very safe and to stay defensive. And there's Stimpack once again. Again, I mean, Stimpack really is the upgrade here, which tells us a lot about this game. It tells us it's going to be bio. I guess there was already a second barracks, so I guess we already knew it was going to be bio. And King's Cove is another large map where mech definitely works. I think the thing is, though, while King's Cove is a large map where mech definitely works, it can also be a large map where it's very difficult to push across and to finish games with mech. But I feel like that is true with bio as well. I think the what difference is with bio, you can go into that kind of Ghost Liberator style a little bit more easily, and that just sort of transitions through more naturally. So you can go into like Ghost Liberator Viking, and I think that becomes actually pretty much what your goal is on King's Cove. 9 times out of 10 you get to 4 bases, and if you don't end the game going up towards 3 or 4 bases by dealing enough damage and enough momentum to keep on pushing, then you kind of sit back and you build up tons of bases. You go split map, and you start to get into that position where it does become very difficult for the Terran player to for the Zerg player to survive late game, because the nukes are dropping down all over the place. It's hard for them to push into defensive bases of the Terran. The ghost snipes do a lot of damage if anything's ever out of position. It's not unwinnable for Zerg, but there's a lot of positives for the Terran to use in those scenarios, and typically I think that stage of the game is thought to be quite nice for Terran once they get there. Getting there may not be easy, but if you do get there, it goes rather well for you. So this army from SpeCial pushing in towards the upper left-hand side. Cyclone Locks onto this queen at the front and deals quite a bit of damage to it. Roaches and ravages a few more queens down into the center. Couple of drones going down as all the turrets from the Raven come out. The Raven, not something you typically expect to see. Where's that Raven gotten to? There it is. Raven, something you don't typically expect to see, but it did build it up here earlier on. An interesting addition, but it is very good for cleaning out group spread without having to throw down scans. Obviously, at some points, though, it just becomes this point where it does have energy and you don't really have much to do with it, so you just drop a couple of older turrets in a natural mineral line. You get a couple of drone kills, and that's kind of like the life of the Raven at this point. Raven Marines up the left side. I'm just going to be seeing this little army from SpeCial pushing up through the middle so far. Roaches and Ravages from Scarlett joining up again. And we are going to be seeing that hive now dropping down from Scarlett in the top left. Centrifugal hooks on the way out. Circling speed coming up, +1 melee, +2 carapace. And all of these upgrades coming in at the moment, as you see. A couple of troop tumors being picked away at. Medivacs will load up and back away down to the bottom right-hand side. Hive just over a quarter of the way done. And Scarlett just kind of being left to sort of play her game at the moment. Just sort of sit back, kind of do what she wants. She's done enough damage early on with the proxy hatch to be very comfortable just building up into a whole bunch of units here, getting those upgrades running, switching into a Ling Bane composition after the Roach Ravager early. And SpeCial just now is starting to apply some pressure with these drops, but I mean, this is 10 minutes into the game, and there's only really a couple of creep tumors you're going to kill, and there is a lot of creep on this map as well, so Scarlett's going to be very comfortable here. And this almost feels as though Scarlett's able to force a longer game out of this now, because she's already going to be on 4 base with a lot of creep in front. What sort of push is SpeCial going to be able to pull out here that is realistically going to come across and kill Scarlett in the next 3 or 4 minutes before late game really starts kicking in? There's nothing, right? Not with this much creep. I mean, okay, you get rid of these creep tumors, the creep comes straight back up, and it's still towards the halfway marker of the map. I mean, on a lot of maps, this amount of creep would be halfway through the map, but King's Cove is that large, and it isn't quite. Double Ultras captain from Scarlett. Not sure if that's intentional. Pretty sure there's no real need. I mean, double Ultra upgrades don't really ever make sense. Kindness and Anabolic Synthesis. Usually not in that much of a rush to get both of those. Anabolic Synthesis you can kind of sit without for a little while. It is obviously something you want to upgrade into, but not something that's usually worth investing a second Ultras cavern for. And that Scarlett just says she wants to make sure one of them doesn't get sniped down or something. She can always build Ultras. Pretty sure that's just a little bit of a mistake from Scarlett here, as we do see the army of SpeCial is pushing forwards, has made it quite far into creep. So I mean, okay, he's gotten himself in position, but how does this fight go? Anti-armor missile will hit a few of the Ravagers on the top side, a couple of the turrets coming down as well. Scarlett's just waiting for Banelings to finish morphing. Drones are going down. I mean, the 4th base will die. Banelings rolling in towards the Marines, and oh my god, SpeCial is not going to get anything there. No splits at all. Now Scarlett's going to overrun this army in the middle of the map. And she is going to push that all the way back. She did lose a base, yes, but killed a good chunk of the army for it. So with her base already up here, she can put some drones there already if she wants to mine. So I mean, I kind of don't mind it from Scarlett at all. It kind of feels as though she's put herself in a brilliant little position. And Scarlett's put himself in a really weird spot now where that attack didn't work out, and well, I mean, I guess now maybe you do play that more defensive game. We see Liberators on the way up. You can see that SpeCial is trying to find ways to drop around here on the map. Coming up to the top side. Anabolic Synthesis is indeed coming through at the same time as Kindness, so, you know, there we go. Maybe I was right not to be sure if it was a mistake or not. It is double Ultra upgrades. Maybe Scarlett just feels she can hit those Ultras at a time when SpeCial has no chance of holding on against them, so just wants to be able to go into it ASAP. It's interesting, though. It's definitely a little bit different. SpeCial going to start coming up through the center of the map once again. Going to be pushing into the top left-hand side. Already a couple of creep tumors going to start being picked away. 2, 3, 4 creep tumors going down already. Coming over to the right-hand side now. A little bit more creep to be picked away at now. Parasite bomb drops down on a medevac. It splits away. And obviously the whole point of these little attacks is that you're not really meant to be losing anything, but the parasitic bombs do guaranteed damage, and this one brings these medevacs super low. Now drop into the back of the 3rd base. I mean, Banelings already connect. They drop up into the main, and medevac goes down. Circling show up. Actually, maybe not enough circles, although the medivacs are both dead now. And again, Scarlett's dealing some good damage, right? A Liberate shows up as well, dealing some damage over here. 15 drones killed. And we'll push in towards this base. We'll actually stim for the Vipers. We'll not find it. Ah, that's expensive, though. Now multiple medivacs are dropping down dead. I mean, and a lot more of this army, I think, went down than Special was really hoping for. Yeah, Special, I mean, doing a great job, right? But all of this is money which is invested into harassing, and not money which is going in towards preparing for the super later stages of this. Another Liberator will get some drone kills after just killing that Queen. Goes down after 3 of them. Ghost Academy has finished. The Special can start building up into that, but now that Scarlett has a moment to breathe, we'll see her starting to set up across the map. You know, Special with some good fights here, some good harassment. I do like what he's done for himself. I feel like it's given him a bit of hope after a couple of times in this game so far where things have not been looking too pretty for him. Anti-armor missile hits just a couple of ultras, which is better than nothing at all. Let's see those tanks though, hit by blind clouds. The ultras jumping straight on top of it. Bio pulling away to the right. We see those banelings pressing through as well already. 12, 19 SCVs blown up. Make that 20, why don't we? 21 now as those medivacs coming down to the bottom side. Banes, Ultras, Ravagers pressing through. We're going to see these supply depots going to get broken down as well, and this army from Scarlett is going to be through into the natural expansion. A couple Banes connecting on another Ghost, and this looks as though it's probably just going to be it. And you see a little bit of bio here on that natural expansion, dealing some more damage as well. Free upgrades will be denied. I mean, Special is losing everything, right? He is absolutely dropping down. These Ravagers are kind of with this Ultra slowly kind of picking their way through bits and pieces. They'll probably get cleaned up here, it seems, by reinforcements. Scarlett does lose the natural hatchery, which is quite impressive. This drop able to get so much done. I have to give it to Special. He has done so much with this aggression. And has been able to get himself into some very good spots as the medivacs here from Special now down to the bottom side. 7 more drones on the way up. More Marauders, more Marines coming out here for the moment. A couple more SCVs as well. Circling some Scarlett coming up to the top and positioning to try and maybe get something done. I mean, Special at this stage has no 4th base. 3 bases at 15.5 in almost 16 minutes. Main is mining out natural, well on its way. We have less than a minute or so of life on that natural expansion, so Special is in a do or die moment. He does have 88 army supply to 66. I mean, if you want to look for positives and possibilities, if he can somehow take a good fight here, there is some sort of hope. The thing is, I think Scarlett just has so many bones that it's difficult to not take a good fight. Nice interference matrix on that Viper. The Raven now finally goes down. It's been up for the entirety of the game. I think Scarlett's in no rush. She just takes the time when she sees it's fit to fight. She will fight, and the Blind Cloud coming down, blocking a bit of the bio. Infestor coming forward is not really achieving much. The Lings and Ravagers keep on streaming through this, and it looks as though Scarlett will be taking this down 3-1. Locking this one down, cleaning it up, and taking this series off a Special. GG, Scarlett takes it home. 3-1 here in the best of 5 from the WSG round of 16. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the little cast today, guys. Hopefully you'll enjoy the next few uploads we got for the next few days as well. Thanks so much for dropping by and hanging out. It's been a lot of fun. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, all the usual. And I'll see you guys next time for another YouTube.